27% of your workforce is going to be Gen Z in 3 years' time. Think about it. We will continue to have multi-generational workforces for some time, and the leaders are possibly still going to be those from previous generations. And you will have problems when these multi-generational workforces work with each other. But success in the future will depend on how you can work with Gen Z and how you can create an office vibe that works for them. There is a particular kind of office vibe that Gen Z looks for. And what is that? And when in all the work that we did with Gen Z and with leaders, we've discovered a few specific things. Let me share some stories with you. So there is this person who's all of 23 and is on his third job, and he talked about how his best job was his first one. And I asked him why, because his second job paid him nearly twice as much. He said, it's not the money. It's that in the first job, I really felt respected. I could walk up to the senior person's room. There was nobody who would stop me. And I would go and state my point of view, and we would have a disagreement and an argument, and he would listen to me and he would debate with me, and there was no disrespect. He would listen to me and say, you have a point, but, and so on. And I really felt respected. I felt that my voice was heard. There was no hierarchy. I could walk in. It was very different in the second place. There was hierarchy. I couldn't go to my boss's boss. I couldn't just walk in. I couldn't state my point of view. I had to watch what I said. It didn't work. So having open spaces, allowing people that freedom to be able to express themselves, because Gen Z has a point of view and they state that they are not worried about stating their point of view. They must be allowed. That's very important for creating the right office vibe. There's something very interesting that came up in another example. And this was about a CEO who actually every year would take on a bunch of young people to work directly with him for future leadership. And he was working with this group, which included a really bright young Gen Z person. And this Gen Z person asked him a question. It's a very good question. The CEO loved that question. He put his arm around him and said, "Kid, let me tell you." And the Gen Z person says, "That's when I switched off." I said, "Why?" He was being paternal with you. He said, "I'm not his son. And I don't like being infantilized. I am working there. I have asked him a question. He needs to answer that question. Where is all this kid and all coming in from?" So they also are quick to take offense to things that used to be okay earlier. Things are not like that. It won't be okay to say things like this. You have to mind what you say. You also have to be very mindful of their time and respect their time. Gen Z looks at work-life balance. You can't call them up at 9 o'clock without their permission and say, "Hey, there's some work to do." This is what we would do, because we were slaves to our jobs. We were slaves to the idea that if our boss has asked us something to do, we have to do. That's not how it is with Gen Z. So when you are looking to make those changes in your work culture to be more successful in the years ahead, keep this in mind. Create it for Gen Z.